I'm Sam, and this is part 5 of my recap of Onyx Storm, and we are almost done with this entire book. Okay, so starting off, everyone is back from the Isles, and they're in Navarre, and Sawyer has modified his prosthetic leg, so now he can be a dragon rider again. Then Violet and Xaden have relations, and power erupts from them again, and I want to highlight how this has never happened with anyone else, and it hasn't happened to them with any other partner. Xaden says, "My control when it comes to you is an illusion. You are the temple where I worship." Xaden also tells Violet that his power and his soul are all hers. Then we get an epigraph about the god of love changing people's souls. And so this is what makes me think maybe this other god that Violet has a connection to, maybe it's the god of love. Or maybe Xaden and her really are soulmates, and we learned that bonds are magic, and so maybe their soulmate bond is what produces magic or produces power when they're together. Then, the moment we've all been waiting for, Violet's second signet is revealed. And I kind of felt like it was a letdown. It was kind of anticlimactic for me. We had this build up that it was going to be even more dangerous than lightning, and so I was like, dream walking. But I trust Rebecca. I love this book, and so I think it's going to be more dangerous or more powerful than I'm anticipating right now. I mean, we see from Xaden's sage that, it can be pretty powerful, and there's power in knowing your enemy's worst nightmare. Then some Wyvern and Venin come to attack Erasia. Auric tells Violet, if we're going to win, you have to protect the Temple of Dune. Come to find out, Auric has the ability to see the future. Then we get an important epigraph that says the closest that most come to touching the power of the gods is by becoming a priestess. Most. But some can still have god powers without becoming a priestess, and that's where I think Violet enters the picture. We also learned that Theo used to be a priestess of Dune. Okay, so I have a theory. What if the original OG writers are now the Venin Mavens? So this battle ends up being won because Leothan, Andarna's kin, comes and fires up the wardstone at Erasia, and all the Venin have to flee. But our excitement over him showing up is short-lived because then he leaves with Andarna. He's like, Andarna, girl, break your bond to Violet and come with me back to our isle and learn about our people. And she's like, what? No, break it, huh? And he's like, well, you can break it or bend it. And then she bounces and the bond goes silent. And I literally was sobbing. And then I composed myself and remembered, okay, Andarna loves Violet. She would never just totally break the bond. So I'm hoping it's just bent or was muted or paused or something, but not totally broken. And the reason why I think that it wasn't completely broken is whenever Andarna eventually comes back really quick, there's no high-pitched whistle. She just comes back and is already able to speak back mind to mind with her. Also, Violet didn't die, and anyone who actually has their bond completely severed with the dragon that we know of that isn't Venin dies. Also, Violet never loses her second signet, so that also is what makes me think the bond was just bent or modified, but not totally broken. Also, Leothan, before he leaves with Andarna, he brings up this point again with Violet about which dragon chose you first. And she's like, well, Taryn spoke to me first. So he's like, yep, see, told you, Taryn. But I actually don't know if that's right. So I have a theory that I think Andarna chose her first, because what about all that stuff about how Andarna says that she remembers hearing about Violet, about this mind of a scribe who's going to be a writer when she was still in her shell, and she chose to hatch for Violet. So I don't know, does anyone else have this opinion that maybe Andarna chose first? I also love how we learn that Irids are just pure magic and they have power over bonds, because I think this is going to come into play at the end of the book.